Welcome everyone today. We're going to be doing a spills awareness brief for Crown Point Norwich. Today, my name's Pete. I'm going to be taking you through our spills awareness, our processes, our procedures, what we do in the event of a spill, who we report it to and how we deal with it. So to start off, we're going to talk a little bit about our aims and objectives. The aim of the brief is to instruct the candidate in the management of spills in accordance with the regulations that we use and the specific local procedures relevant to Crown Point. Our objectives then, so the objective of today is to give you guys not only the skills and knowledge but the confidence to be able to react under any situation and deal with any size spill in and around the depot, including how we report it, what we do to contain it and how we clean the spill. That's basically what we're going to be going around today and how we're going to be trying to go through the lesson or structure it in such a way, if that's okay with you guys. So before I start, just a little bit of background from you guys. If I could just get your names and how long you've been in the rail industry.
Simon Gibbs, 21 years on the railway.
Perfect.
Alan Edwards, 28 years on the railway.
10 years on the railway.
Sean Williams, 23 years on the railway.
Perfect. So we've got a lot of experience in the room. You guys surely know, you've probably sat through many of these spills briefs before. So I'll try and give you as much of the new information as I can and try and keep it relevant and interesting for you. So before we start, we'll just do a little practical exercise. If I can get you, Simon, just to stand up, go over to the board. And together we're just going to come up with as many different ideas on like causes of spills, not causes, like things in the depot that will spill. So what are we going to be looking for as a group? If we came across a spillage, what might we see? Battery acid, that's a good one. You will see that. What else have we got?
We've got diesel.
Yeah, diesel fuel, good.
Engine oil.
Engine oil, perfect. Yeah, we're going to see engine oil. Screen wash, yeah. Something people wouldn't necessarily think of. Good.
Glue.
Yeah, good to see our blue. Potential for splitters.
Cleaning products.
Cleaning products, just caution,
Cleaning products.
caution. Good.
Wastewater.
Yeah, water. It's still a spill, isn't it? So wastewater, water. It might be something that we don't necessarily need to deal with a spill procedure, but it's still something that we might see out and about. Still something that we're going to need to identify and make sure that it's acceptable before we just ignore it.
Coolant.
Coolant, yeah, perfect.
Body wash.
Yeah, so the cleaners compound
Body
fluid.
washing in 12, 13 minutes.
Yeah, you might see that. Anyone got any other ideas?
Hot coffee.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I don't think we're going to break out a spill kit for your coffee.
I don't know. Would.
Fatalities and stuff.
Yeah, cleaning fatalities and stuff like that as well. We'll see that here. We'll see that here. So yeah, fatality. Again, that's something though that probably as engineers we're not going to go try and cordon off that as a spill. We should have GA procedures in place for that. But we'll we might look at that in a little bit. Everyone happy? You want to come take a seat then? We'll move on with the presentation. So the presentation is quite short. It's just a 15 slides presentation, just to give us a general idea of how we deal with spills and procedures behind it. So, what are the consequences of an uncontrolled spill? Before we go on to the slide that shows it, does anyone want to just shout out a few answers? What could we do? What's like the biggest things to think about? Consequence.
Contamination. Fresh water.
Yeah.
If it's oils or anything like that.
Legislation.
Legislation's huge as well. Yeah. The company's going to get hit in the pocket, and obviously, a hit to the company affects us down the line. Anything else? injury to people, slips and trips and falls, and also burns when we're talking about battery acids and your diesels. It's contaminants that aren't good for your skin. You're going to cause potential dermatitis and other skin conditions as we move further on.
I've got another corporate one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Damage to reputation.
Damage to reputation. I think that's
So
literally
you
on
know
the slide that
it's
we're about to pull up.
Yeah.
So literally, you can see it there at the bottom here. So you can contaminate the drinking water, and that's going to lead to potential ill health, damage to vegetation and livestock, especially where we are and how close we are to the local watercourse. We have procedures in place, and being quite a rural area, I know we're in the city, but contamination will still leak out and cause damage to vegetation, livestock. Fines and imprisonment to ourselves if we fail to deal with it in an appropriate way. Injury through slips, trips, dermatitis, other skin conditions. Ill health from hazardous substances. Damage to property and assets. Compensation, and then damage to company reputation. All of these feed back into us as well as the individual. A couple of statistics for us then as we move on. As you can see, over 100 million litres of drinking water can be contaminated by just 1 litre of solvent. It's important that we are dealing with our kosh and our hazardous substances in the correct way, because obviously as we dispose of in the appropriate manner, we take the right precautions to make sure that these chemicals, these solvents, the stuff that we work with on a day-to-day, doesn't make its way into our drinking water and stuff like that. 250 grams of pesticide is enough to exceed the permitted level for the whole of London's water supply for one day. When you think about the scale, the size, we really need to be on top of what we're dealing with, spills and kosh-wise. 3,073 major slips, trips and falls as a direct result of wet surfaces, be that water, oil, fuel. That's why when water came up, again, it's not necessarily something we're going to contain with our spill kits, but it's something that we need to address, and we need to look at putting the right precautions in place and making sure it gets dealt with. I know that 31% of all non-fatal accidents are caused by slips, trips and falls. So before we go any further, I've put together a few little workbooks for us that we can work through together as we go through the rest of the slides. Just a little 3-4 question page, one page, 3 or 4 questions, just to help reinforce our learning, just so as we work our way through. Has everyone got a pen? I have pens if not. Yeah, no problem. Cool, look at me being prepared. That doesn't happen. There you go. Cool, so at the end we'll go through the questions together. I'll get you guys to read out questions, and then we'll go through the questions as a group. But as we work our way through, hopefully the answers to these questions will become apparent. If you have any questions at any point for me, don't hesitate to ask. We can talk about them. I might ask to wait to leave them to the end. I might car park them if I don't know, and we'll come back to them at a later date. So some of the planning that we have, some of the things that we might need to be aware of. We have a site drainage plan. We need to know what substances are stored on site. We have all our kosh information. All of our kosh information is stored on the internet on a site called Sevron. And if you need access to a specific one, we can go to our SPMs. Our SPMs have access to Sevron. We all should have access. I doubt that you guys know your access like credentials, but the SPMs will be able to get you those kosh assessments. We should all know the location of the spills equipment, which is on a later slide. So I'll be able to show you where they are and where they're located, and we're going to show you how to dispose of contaminated. You should know how to dispose of contaminated material through our correct waste bins that we have downstairs. Finally, we should know the emergency response plan, and it should be tested. And we should raise awareness of the emergency hotline, which we're going to tell you about towards the end. the first thing we're going to do then is with risk assessments, when we come across a spill, we're going to do like a dynamic risk assessment. First thing we're going to do is we're going to identify the hazards. We're going to work out what it is and whether or not it's a hazard. It will be a hazard. We're going to identify who or what can be harmed, and then we're going to evaluate the risk. All of this is going to be dynamically. If you discover a spill, you will have spill plans in place, but I don't expect you to walk away to find the spill plan. In the event of a spill, we're going to deal with it. And then we're going to implement controls. We're going to go through ERIC. We're going to eliminate, reduce, isolate and control. And then we're going to record, monitor and review to make sure that the spill doesn't exacerbate. When we respond to a spill, individually, we're going to protect ourselves, we're going to protect the environment, we're going to protect our water courses. We're not going to put ourselves at risk, that's important. We're going to control further spillage and contain the spread of the spill. We're going to clean in line with our company procedures. We're going to dispose of any contaminated material in line with the company procedures. And we're going to replace any used spills control material. Finally, afterwards, the employer is going to review the process to make sure it worked efficiently, and then we'll be able to deal with it more efficiently the next time. This is how we're going to respond to the spill. If a spill occurs, we're then going to make sure that it's safe to isolate. That's the first thing we're going to do. That might be important for your question papers. If it's safe, we're going to isolate that. And then we're going to acquire the nearest spill kit and then contain the spill. We're then going to inform the SDM for Stadler, and he's going to then pass on that information to the SDM for Greater Anglia, so that everyone's in the loop. This is how our material looks like. This is what you'll see in a spill kit. These are our materials that are present in the spill kit. Again, it might be worth looking at for your question paper. The things that we have here, we've got socks, we've got tape, we've got plugging granules, disposable bags and ties, pads, pillows, and a plug rugs. And again, these will make up the majority of the contents of our spill kit, which we'll look at in a little bit. Our location of our spills kits, you can see there the current locations of where you'll find all your spill kits along the roads. We have them in our stores, offices, in our plants, under frame cleaning. Everywhere that you'll see there will have its own individual spill kit. And then this is what we're going to look for. We're going to deal with any. This is our threshold. Any HazChem listed chemicals, fuels greater than 50 litres, oils greater than 20 litres, and then all incidents anywhere near a water course or drains close to a water course, and then incidents at protected sites. That doesn't mean if the fuel leak is less than, we're going to ignore it, we're just going to deal with it, but we'll have to report it if it reaches past that threshold. And then finally, we have our hotline for all three agencies for England, Scotland and Northern Ireland. Is everyone fairly happy with all of that information? Perfect. What we're going to do now then, quickly, is we're going to go through the contents of the spill kit. So as you can see, your spill kits are going to be sealed. So we're going to have to just break into them as such. Internally to the spill kit then, we're going to find a pack up with gloves, safety specs. We're going to find bags. We're going to find pillows. We're going to find socks. All of the good things that we're looking at in our spill kits in order to help us to maintain and clean and deal with our spills. Okay, so quickly then, let's go through our assessment questions. If someone could just read out the first question to me.
Which of these items would you find in a spill kit?
Perfect. So someone quickly give me the two answers that we're looking for here.
Absorbent socks and then pads and pillows.
Perfect. Al, if you mind reading the second question for me.
What's the first step we should take if you discover?
Okay, where's the first step? Did anyone get that from the assessment? What did you pick up, Alan?
If possible, isolate.
If possible, isolate if safe. Perfect. And then finally, what was the last question, guys?
Identify the potential consequences of a spill.
Perfect. And that was that slide we were looking at with the different consequences. Someone give me one of the answers.
Fines and/or imprisonment.
Perfect. Al, give me another one of the answers.
Damage to vegetation or most.
Perfect. Another one, please.
Damage to
Um,
property and assets.
Yeah, perfect. And then Sean,
Ill health from contaminated drinking water or
Perfect.
hazardous substances.
is everyone happy? Does everyone feel happy? Perfect. That then concludes the lesson. Thank you.